record. 1, 2, 3. Good morning, everyone in the different countries and cities who are watching us and listening to us. Today is the 11th of October. 2 more months and
Christmas?
Christmas.
Are you trying to scare us?
It will be a different Christmas, right?
It is going
Very
to be.
different.
Okay.
Christmas with bright mask.
But as long as we are healthy, as long as we have a job, perfect. And as long as we have our family, perfect. Okay, today we have a very special guest, Beatriz Erazo from Bolivia. She will be talking about a very important topic today. As usual, let me say a few words about gratitude. So somebody who wants to read, please. Anybody?
How to find happiness?
Number 1.
Inhale.
And number 2.
Exhale.
And then?
Be grateful.
Why? Why inhale, then exhale, and then be grateful?
Because that is life.
Yes, because we are alive. Thank God. You know how many people have died all over the world so far? Do you have any idea? In your countries, in your cities, and maybe in your families. So we always need to be grateful. So next Sunday, we will have Skip Gold. I've already talked to him. He said he's really busy. He used to work here in Peru for the Rilo Andes office. And he will be talking about developing teacher reflection through online peer coaching. And in 2 more Sundays, we will be discussing and reflecting about what's going on in our cities, in our schools, universities, institutes, and countries. I guess, correct me, Beatriz, if I am mistaken. This is the first time we met, 2017, in the beautiful Guayaquil, Ecuador, during the 8th COPEI International Conference. One of the best conferences I've ever been to. Well organized, great people. And then I met you, I guess, Irma, right?
Yes. It was the very first time, and we've been friends since then.
Yeah.
It's a blessing, Mimito. It's a blessing.
And it was such a beautiful opening ceremony. And then we got these wonderful hats. I still keep it there. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, Beatriz, you were here in Piura, Peru 2 years ago for our 5th international conference. Here is Denise from Ecuador and
Nicola Willis.
Yes, Nicola Willis, who was born in the USA, but has been in Ecuador for about, I don't know, 10 years? Many years. And she speaks perfect Spanish.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me say a few things about Beatriz. Beatriz Erazo is a committed, energetic, and collaborative teacher trainer. She has taught in several educational establishments in Bolivia and at Hotel Training Center in Boston. I didn't know. MA and World Learning, VT USA. Currently, she teaches at Bolivian Catholic University and Major de San Andres University. Is the academic director of EnglishTech, S.R.L, and a freelance consultant for Pearson Education. Beatriz has presented in different local and national conferences for English teachers. She has also been a speaker in international events in Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, and the USA. In her presentations, Beatriz shares strategies that promote students' autonomy, motivation, critical thinking, and critical feedback within the framework of the principles of cooperative learning, blended learning, experiential learning, reflective teaching, and game-based learning. Wow, so much experience you have, Beatriz. And for those people who are not here early in the morning, she's also a vet. So she studied she studied to be a vet, and she worked as a veterinarian for 10 beautiful years with cats, dogs, and every single animal in Bolivia. So welcome
Well,
and thank you.
no, not every single animal in Bolivia, but I was not in charge of taking care of our politicians.
Okay.
Just to clarify.
Let's not talk about politics. So let's give Beatriz a warm round of visual applauses. So let me, I guess you can share your Beatriz, your
Okay.
screen.
Hopefully.
Oh yeah.
Okay, there you there. Good. So thank you so much, beautiful people, for being here. Thank you so much, Jaime, for this opportunity. And I'm very happy because I mentioned a moment ago that here in Bolivia, we are celebrating Bolivian Women's Day. So congratulations to all Bolivian women that they are there in my country and outside my country, but also a hug for all those women that are sharing this meeting with us. And we have a double job when we are teachers. I mean, it's more powerful. There is an interesting thing that a friend of the United States made me notice, that in my country, when we celebrate something, we have usually a historical reason. For example, every May 27th, we celebrate Mother's Day. Why? Because during the Independence War, the city of Cochabamba had no men. The men were fighting, against the Spaniards, and only women, the elderly, and children were left in the city. But there was this Spaniard army that came, and they tried to take the city of Cochabamba. And the women on a May 27th, they said, okay, there may not be men in Cochabamba to defend the city, but there are women. And all of them were slaughtered. All of them were killed, elderly women and children, but they defended Cochabamba until the last moment they could do it. So because of that, we celebrate Mother's Day on May 27th. Today, there is an interesting reason we are celebrating the Day of the Bolivian Women, and it is to honor these women, Adela Zamudio. She wrote many novels, she wrote many books, and she was an incredible and prolific poet. She was born in 1854, and you can say that in those times, there were so many inequities and inequalities. And she was very, very brave to talk about the right of women, women's rights. And we're talking about, she lived 150 years ago, more or less. And these are two stanzas of one of her most famous poems called Nacer Hombre, to be born a man. And on the first stanza that I am sharing with you here, she is mentioning that in those days, women could not vote. But just because you were a man, and you could be a criminal, or you could be a very stupid man, but just because you were a man, you could vote. And then things have changed. Now we can vote, yes? But in those days, she presented it that way. Also, she mentioned something that it's still part of our culture. Men may not be serious, and I'm not saying men are bad at all, but I'm explaining what her position was. But women have a different way to get things and to negotiate. And she was seen as weak, and the man was just the strong and the head of the family just because he was a man. That's what she wrote. And also, she did something very strong. She also talked about domestic violence. In this stanza of this poem, she says she has to forgive if her husband is unfaithful, but he can take revenge. She can even kill her because she's just a man. I've been part of the ASOCOPI conference, and I gave a presentation on integrating technology in the EFL classroom. And I asked the participants, why should we use technology in our classes? And one of the participants said, it's because we have to bring the outside world into the classroom. And I'm thinking about Adela Zamudio and this stanza of her poem. And this is our reality too. This is the outside world, outside the classroom. Should we bring this reality into the classroom? I just watched a documentary that in one part they said, every day in the United States, 3 women are killed by either a current partner or an ex-partner. And when they do all the investigations and everything, majority of the times they found out that it was premeditated. Several of those killings include the children. I'm very sad to say that in my country, from January to September, 87 women have been victims of femicides. Should we bring this into the classroom? Should we talk about this in the classroom? I like to read the BBC News, and I learned this word, handout. Do you know what is a handout? Oh yeah, it's this piece of paper in which we have these exercises and we deliver to our students. Well, no. I learned that the word handout has also another meaning. And it means to give a certain amount of money to poor people, to people that need it. In my country, we call that bonos. We have the bono Juancito Pinto, that it was created by the government so they could be, encouraged to send the kids to school. And with the pandemic, this new government created the bono salud, the bono familia, so people could get some money because, the pandemic had forced many people to abandon their jobs. They had no income. So it was a way that the government was going to help. So I was reading that my country was not the only one. Many countries did the same thing. The government in Brazil is considering now the possibility of not giving these handouts any longer because its economy cannot still, maintain the situation, and the level of poverty is going to be increased like crazily. Should we talk about these things in our classroom? So I was amazed that I learned a new word, handout, to give money to the poor. I didn't know that. And nowadays we are in elections in Bolivia. It's one more week and we are going to choose a new government. And I'm listening to them because I have to go and vote. And by the way, I was discriminated not to be a juror during the elections because of my age, the same thing as the PhD. Because of my age, I cannot be a juror. I don't like it, but that's a totally different thing. So I'm listening to these people, and I don't feel that they are really talking about these problems. I don't really feel. And there was another interesting thing that happened this week. They were talking about corruption, which unfortunately is something that we live in all of our countries. And this person that is a candidate now, but was part of the previous government, he admitted that there had been lots of corruption cases during their time of ruling. And he also said, but the reason of that, it's because our ministers, our public servers, they are educated that way in the universities. We have to analyze what kind of education they are receiving at the university. And I was like, I teach at the university and I cannot accept that we are teaching corrupted people to become corrupted when they become part of the government. I don't think that was acceptable to say. I was so mad. I was so mad that I got sick from the stomach. Why am I talking about all of these things? And it's because I am critical. When I was studying in precisely at SIT Graduate Institute, I was assigned to make a project with an American boy, a classmate. We agreed that we were going to meet on a Sunday at 10 a.m. So I took my laptop to the cafeteria and I waited for him. He never showed up. Oh, well, he showed up, but 1 hour and 20 minutes late. And when he came to the cafeteria, he didn't come to me and talk to me. He just sat down and talked to somebody else. I was furious. I wanted to kill him. I was so mad that I went, I said, come on, man, I've been waiting for you for more than an hour. We had to work on our project. And then he came and sat down with me and said, I'm sorry. And he started giving reasons. But I was so furious that my head couldn't really understand all his English. So I was like, I want to know what exactly he's telling to me because I want to respond to him. And then I asked him, I don't understand that word. It's a phrasal verb. And then he gave me another phrasal verb as a synonym. And then I said, I don't understand that either. What are you trying to say? And then he gave me another phrasal verb as a synonym. So I just stood up and yelled and I said, stop talking to me in phrasal verbs. And I left. You know, I cannot keep my feelings inside. So that afternoon, all their friends, they were having coffee at the cafeteria, and I went to have coffee, and they invited me to join, and I wanted to talk about the thing. So I said everything that he had told me, and I was so mad at how furious. And very calmly, one of the American classmates there said, Beatriz, why are you so critical? And I just stopped feeling furious. I'm not critical, I'm complaining. And then I looked at my friend from Mauritania, my friend from Korea, and I was like, yeah, she's complaining. She's not being critical. And they said, no, Beatriz, you are being critical. You are focusing only on the negative things. So I reflected on that. That was very surprising for me. So I checked the dictionary. And yes, if you check the Merriam-Webster dictionary, critical means to focus on the negative things. But I was not really being critical, not from my perspective. I was just complaining. And I don't know you, but in my country, complaining is kind of the national sport. Now, as an anecdote, my beautiful mother, they organized at church this kermés, which is kind of a fair where they sell food and they make raffles in order to, you know, to raise some funds, to collaborate with something. So they were raising funds, I think, for the Asilo San Ramon. I don't really remember the reason. And people at church created these groups that they were going to be in charge of selling some kind of food. And my mom offered, said, okay, I'm going to wash the dishes, because she loves washing the dishes. So everybody, you know, talking outside, enjoying the sun, maybe eating the food, drinking some beer, enjoying the music. And my mom was inside, she was washing the dishes, and she was like, yeah, of course they are outside, they are talking to people, I am washing the dishes here. And she was speaking like that aloud. And this guy that didn't know my mom, she felt very bad for her. So she went out and talked to her group and said, how come? Why are you doing this? You are here very happy, and poor Lupita, the name of my mom is Guadalupe, poor Lupita is outside, it's inside, washing the dishes, totally alone, she's complaining. So they went inside with the man and asked, Lupita, why are you washing the dishes? And my mom said, because I offered, I volunteered. Okay, and why are you complaining? Because I like complaining. I like washing the dishes and I like complaining. Let me be happy. You are happy outside, I'm happy inside complaining. So from my culture, I have a totally different view of what is complaining and being critical. Now, I learned that day with my friends in Vermont that for them, being critical is focusing on the negative things. And in my perspective, in a very personal perspective, when you are critical, you focus maybe on the negative things, but because you want to do something better. Not because you are going to end up your life there being unhappy. My students, when they give an exam and they get, for example, 90 over 100, they usually come to me and say, Beatriz, why I got this wrong? They never ask me, Beatriz, tell me why I got 9 questions correct and only 1 wrong. They don't focus on the correct questions. They focus on the incorrect questions. When you are teaching and you plan a lesson and the lesson doesn't work well, then you don't think of the great things that happened during your lesson, but you focus on just that one that didn't work well. And if you are like me, you are, I did this, I did that. So this is the big question. Are we complaining all the time, or are we being critical thinkers? And I want to know how you think about yourselves. We are going to do this small activity with Mentimeter. I know that you have heard of Mentimeter. Good, excellent. So please maybe open a new tab in your laptops or get your cell phone, and please let's go to www.menti.com. That's the code that you have there. It's 6792257. And I want to know if you think that you are critical thinkers. You have 4 options. The first one is, yes, I am. The second is, no, I'm not. This is totally anonymous. I'm sorry, that sound is my cats, that they are fighting. My apologies for that. Number 3, the third option is that you are not sure. And the final option is that you are going to ask your mom. And the first time I asked myself that, I called my mom and said, Mom, what do you think? Do you think I'm a critical thinker? So choose one of those options, please. We're going to get a couple of minutes to think about it. And let's see if this works well. Yes? Okay, yes, I'm going to,
yes, of course, yes.
To wait for some people to connect and maybe respond. Just 60 seconds. So yes, I am. Good. Sorry, while you respond, I'm going to try to put some people, guys, please, I'm working here. My apologies, but I'm inviting you to my home, and part of my home is my cats.
Don't worry, Beatriz.
Thank you so much. Okay, 15 more seconds to see, and then I'm going to let you think about this. But for the moment, at least the people that have already participated, they said, oh, yes, they are. And I have to admit, again, that the first time I asked this question myself, I was not sure. I was not sure at all of this situation. So you just, somebody like me, he or she is not sure. And okay, some people are saying, no, I'm not. And others are wise, as myself, they're going to ask their mommies. Very good, excellent. It is a good idea that we ask this question ourselves to be sure where we are standing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So I'm happy to see that majority of you feel that you are critical thinkers. But we have to know what is critical thinking. And in the chat box, please, I would like to know what your opinions are. What is critical thinking? Is it any kind of thinking? Is it a type of thinking that you do at the school and the university? Is it reflection? Is it thinking that requires questioning? Or is it something that only God knows? OGK stands for only God knows. So let's share. I'm going to give it a look at the chat box, and I would like to read some of your opinions. What is, on your personal perspective, critical thinking? What is it for you? So you can choose other ideas, of course, to share. Maybe it is something totally different from this. Okay, so critical thinking is the ability to engage in reflective and independent thinking. And it's thinking that requires questioning and reflection. And the objective is to evaluate in order to form a real idea. And it's a way to reflect and express your own views. I totally agree with all of you. Yes, critical thinking involves that. And I like that many people are saying, I mean, several people are saying that it requires questioning for the good or the better, and not always accepting everything without asking. And I'm very happy that you are mentioning that. Before I give you my personal perspective of what critical thinking is, do you recognize Lelutier? Do you know where they are from? Where are they from?
Argentina.
Exactly. And I would say that they were very, very, very good. I hope I can share this video with you. We are not going to watch the whole video, but it is an interesting thing to listen to this specific song that is called La Gallinita Dijo Eureka. I hope you can listen to it.
A los chicos hay que decirles siempre la verdad, hay que explicarles las cosas, darles a entender más motivo, las razones que tienen las cosas, porque después de todo, los chicos, aún los más pequeñitos, son seres pensantes. Casi podríamos decir que son seres humanos. Entonces se tiene que explicarles las cosas con paciencia, con cariño. Por ejemplo, típico caso, mira, ya son las 12 de la noche, ¿no es cierto, querida? Es un poquito tarde. Claro. Y hoy nos hemos levantado temprano. ¿Te acordás que nos levantamos temprano? Por supuesto. Y mañana nos tenemos que levantar temprano otra vez porque vas a tener que ir a la escuela, yo tengo que ir al trabajo. ¿Me entendés lo que te estoy explicando? Quiere decir, querido, que si vos ya no te dormís, yo te reviento. A los chicos hay que decirles siempre la verdad. Y ahora, para finalizar este programa, los dejo nuevamente en compañía de los amiguitos que les van a enseñar la canción La Gallina Dijo Eureka. La gallina estaba hueca, puso un huevo y dijo Eureka. La gallina cocorocó. La gallina dijo Eureka. Se quedó tan sorprendida que olvidó hacer. ¿Qué?
Después que la gallinita dijo Eureka. ¿Y vos dijiste recién que la gallinita dijo Eureka? Cocorocó y cocorocó. Explícame. ¿Por qué dijo Eureka?
La gallinita dijo Eureka porque estaba muy contenta.
Sí.
Claro.
Estaba contenta.
Muy contenta.
Muy contenta.
Sí.
Estaba chocha. Bueno. Ya está.
Se quedó tan sorprendida que olvidó hacer la comida. La gallina cocorocó. La gallina distraída.
¿Por qué estaba muy contenta? ¿Por qué?
La gallinita estaba muy contenta, querido, porque iba a tener un hijito. Y eso la hacía muy feliz. Claro. Es tan hermoso poner un hijo. Tener un huevo. Tener un hijo. Y se fue la muy coqueta.
Okay, I'm sorry, but we're not going to watch the whole video, but I hope you have gotten my point. This is a kid asking why. Do you remember those times when we ask why all the time, and why this, and where this, and who that? That was the first stages of critical thinking practice that we had in our lives. And I don't know what happened to us that at a certain moment in our lives, we stopped asking questions. And the basis of being critical is asking questions. We have to ask ourselves about everything all the time. So now...
Can I say something, Beatriz?
Sure, please.
In Costa Rica, when I was studying with Mary Scholl and Raj, part of the program was to learn to ask okay, to ask questions, critical thinking. But I remember something they taught us. They say the question has to be genuinely, no, how do you say? It has to be with genuine curiosity, meaning that if you already know the answer, you shouldn't ask, because you just want to know what the other person wants to say, but you already know the answer. So they always emphasize that if you ask, it has to be a genuine curiosity, meaning that you really want to know, but you don't know anything, and you don't have any previous answer in your head. That's what
I totally agree with that. And that genuine curiosity is being like children. Children are honest when they ask questions because they want to know. Yes. Now, when I say that we have to be constantly asking ourselves questions, and as Jaime said, genuine questions, that means every day, all the time, not only in the classroom, not only about teaching English, but in everything that you do every day. And I have this small exercise that I want you to help me. I would like you to help me and recognize if these different situations in which you should be critical thinkers or not. And we are going to use this Kahoot. I know that you have experience with Kahoot. Yes, maybe you have used Kahoot with your students. Well, now we are going to use this Kahoot to talk about situations in which you have to be a critical thinker. I'm going to, okay. I don't like that small song very much. Very simple, please go to kahoot.it, www.kahoot.it, and the pin is 4558843. Okay, thank you so much, Tito. And we are going to wait for a couple of minutes, please. Well, not minutes, I mean just 60 seconds to see. Okay, Lenore, that's a beautiful name. Let's wait the 60 seconds, and if you want, you can join during the game later on. I'm not going to close it down. Okay, we have 3 people already. And Oscar, thank you. Olenka. Hey, Olenka, I'm glad you're here. And Roxy. Oh, that's so beautiful. I love that. And Glenda and Gabi. And Judy. And Juan from Medellin, thank you so much. Okay, excellent. So you can join the game, don't worry, but we are going to begin already with the people that are there. So if you want, you just join. So the question is to think critically or not to think critically, and you are going to see different situations and you have to make a decision. So my first question is, you have to buy a car. Does it require critical thinking or it doesn't require critical thinking? What do you think? So please choose one. Choose one. Okay? Buying a car. Do we have to think critically? Yes or no? And the answer is yes. It requires that we ask several questions before we make a decision. We need to be well informed. And Gabi is the leader. Now, true or false? You don't have to think critically to choose subjects at the university. So at the moment that you register yourself, so you don't choose the subjects, you just take them, or do you have to think critically? What do you think? Is this true or false? Okay. And it's false, because in fact, we need to be informed to decide what we are going to study all over the semester. We have to ask the questions, then when, the where, and I have to consider if I am going to have the time, if I'm going to take 6 subjects or 8 subjects, that requires an answer. Okay, do you need to think critically to brush your teeth? Now here you have to type your answer. So type yes or type no, depending on what your answer to this question is. Do you need to think critically to brush your teeth? Only one word, please. Either yes or either no. No more than that. Okay, a moment ago we got like 18 answers, so let's see if we can reach the same. Okay, do you need to think critically to brush your teeth? What do you think? Yes or no? Okay, I think we can give 3 more seconds to reach. No? Okay, let's wait. And no, well, no, I don't was correct, but unfortunately I asked just to type yes or no. But the answer is no. It's something automatic, it's something mechanic that we do. Let's go to the next one. You have to unscramble this sentence to make a statement. So you just touch the color and just you have to send it to the top in the correct order. You have to choose the different colors to put them in an appropriate order to make a statement. Okay, we have 2 answers. And we're talking about moving, no? Moving to a different home. Seven answers so far. Okay. And to move to a different home, yes, you must think critically. Because first you look for the home and you see if it's going to fit your needs and the needs of your family. And then if you have the money for moving and how you are going to prepare all the things for the moving and how you are going to organize all your things at home. So yes, we have another quiz. To choose a cell phone and internet plan, something very, very common nowadays. Should we think critically or not? Okay. So if you're going to buy a new cell phone and if you need to choose a new internet plan, yes or no? What do you think? Yes, because you want a cell phone that is going to be useful and helpful and is going to satisfy your needs, and you have to have your ideas, your needs clear, and how much money you are going to spend on it, and so many other things. So yes, it's a decision based on using your critical thinking skills. Now, if you have several job offers, you have to think critically. Now, only 2 words, please. Type agree or type disagree. Only those. Agree or disagree. What do you think? Okay, I think I can give it 10 more seconds. And 5 more seconds. Okay, let's see what majority of people has responded. We have agree. Yes, that is totally true. So we have to ask ourselves so many questions to get as much information as possible. And if we have A, B, C, D, L possible jobs, to choose the best one for us. True or false? It's not necessary to think critically if you go jogging. It's not necessary to think critically if you go jogging. True or false? And it's not really true, because you know that you have to wear certain clothes, so you are going to wear appropriately, and to put one foot in front of the other doesn't require for you to ask yourself so many questions. Now, a totally different thing is that while you are jogging, if you are thinking, it's a different thing. It's been demonstrated that running, jogging, help you be creative, but that is a totally different thing. So Glenda is on fire. If you travel from A to B, having limited time and budget, what do you have to do? If you travel from place A to place B, and you have limited time and limited budget, you have to choose one of the 4 possibilities. Okay, let's see, 10 more seconds. 5 more seconds. Okay, let's see what majority of people have responded, and the answer is yes, you have to think critically. And part of thinking critically could be considering calling a travel agency to ask appropriate questions about your needs and your expectations. We have to make use of our critical thinking skills. Another statement that you have to put in order, and we're talking about cereal. Breakfast cereal. I know that you have a favorite breakfast cereal. And to choose your favorite breakfast cereal or a certain cereal, do you have to think critically? Only 4 answers. Okay, 6 so far. Let's see if we can reach the 15 answers that we've been getting. Five more seconds. Very good, that was much better. And yes, we have to think critically to choose the cereal. Personally, I don't like too much sweet, so I'm going to start reading and checking how much sugar they have. And there are some people that are gluten-free, so they are going to read the ingredients of each cereal. So there's so much, you know, critical thinking involved. Now, is it true that we have to think critically on a daily basis on the things that we have to do? So we have, it depends, no it isn't, yes it is, or only God knows. What is your personal intake from this? What's your personal opinion? It depends, no it isn't, yes it is, OGK. Okay, I think 10 more seconds would be enough. 5, And let's see what you think. This is just a poll. There are no right or wrong answers. And majority of people say yes, it is. Some say it depends. But I would go personally, I would go with majority. Now, I want you to think, when was a time that on a daily situation, you had to think critically? Now, you can write a complete sentence here if you want, or just a phrase, that depends on you. This is an open, free question. So let's see what daily situations you think we should think critically. Not the ones that we have mentioned, but others. So please type your answers. Okay, we have 6 answers already. Come on, my friends. Decide a situation in which you should think critically. Okay, 20 more seconds. 10. Okay. Let's read some of the answers. So arranging your daily activities, preparing your agenda, moving to a different place. What to cook? Absolutely true. And doing grocery shopping requires lots of critical thinking, especially if you're going to buy for the whole week, and then you think of the menu, what things you have to buy, and working, preparing your lessons. But believe it or not, grocery shopping and cooking requires lots of critical thinking. And somebody's mentioning here that nowadays, as life it is, and life goes by, we have to think twice about everything going on. Thank you so much for sharing your ideas. And just for fun, Judy on the 3rd place, yay! And Gabi is on the 2nd place, very good. And the gold medal goes to Glendita, woohoo! Very good, excellent, beautiful. And we have also our runner-ups. Excellent, thank you so much, my dear friends. Yes, now the objective of this exercise was to make you analyze the moments in which you have to think critically. And believe it or not, we do it on a daily basis. Why? Because we need to be informed, and we have to analyze alternatives, and we have to evaluate those alternatives regarding our personal objectives. All right, am I going to buy more tomatoes or more carrots? Why? What is the objective of doing that? And we have to try to reach some type of conclusion. So we do that on our daily life. It's not something that we are going to do just because in our class we have to analyze the content, because it is a useful skill that we have to develop outside the classroom as well. And that leads us to think the type of critical thinking we are. I found out when I was doing the research about critical thinking that there are these different levels of critical thinkers. We have the reflexive one, the challenge one, the beginner, the practicing, the advanced, and the master thinker. And they are different. Yes, if you let me a very personal opinion, and I apologize if you don't agree with me or you feel offended, I would say majority of the politicians, at least in my country, they are irreflexive thinkers, because they don't really analyze what they are saying or what they are doing. But that's Beatrizita's personal opinion. Please be tolerant with me. And we have also the challenge thinker, the ones that, you know, he or she likes to focus on facts and ideas, and then the next level is applying how to use those facts and rules and principles, and then we have this practicing thinker that tries to put all together to have the big picture in mind. And then the advanced thinker that combines all of those ideas and creates something totally new. And the master thinker is that one that is well prepared, you know, to develop certain judgments or decisions or things. And this is a process. We begin probably as kids as reflexive thinkers, but as the life goes by, we should go one stage ahead. So again, 1, irreflexive thinker, 2, the challenge thinker, 3, the beginning thinker, 4, the practicing thinker, 5, the advanced thinker, and finally, the master thinker. What stage are you in? Share in the chat. So I'm going to give a look at it. Just write first, second, third, fourth, which one you think you are. I'm going to put them there and I'm going to ask you which you think you are. And I'm going to tell you, I think I'm a beginning thinker and moving on to practicing thinker in a steady way. And I hope one day I'm going to become an advanced thinker, and hopefully sometime in my life, I would say, oh, okay, I think I'm a master thinker because I have my ideas well thought, well analyzed. I have put all my beliefs under, you know, scrutiny that I could then come up with a decision or make a judgment. So yeah, we have beginning thinkers, and oh, according to the Kahoot, probably. That was a very nice one. Majority of you think that you are on stage 3, and we would like to move on. We would like to move on. Thank you so much for sharing. And yes, it is necessary to move on, but to move on, we have to practice this activity of asking questions and asking the critical questions: who, what, where, when, why, and how. Why? Because a critical thinker makes connections and evaluates arguments. And the most important thing, he or she is able to notice when there are errors that are not really validated, because all of our beliefs, they have to be well reasoned and well supported. And we are able to solve problems because we have answered our questions, and we are able to create new things that may solve problems. And we discriminate what is really relevant and what is not really relevant. Sometimes we pay too much attention to things that are not really relevant. But the most important element is that we question our beliefs and our values. We do not assume that we are right all the time. We do not take for granted that the rest of the world is wrong and I am right. And I like this quote of Linda Elder. She says that if we have so many people together and all of them are irreflexive thinkers, and they do not question their beliefs and their judgments, and they are all together, the result is an uncritical, unjust, and dangerous world. So to be a critical thinking begins with you, begins with me. I'm not going to question the others. I'm going to question Beatrizita first. And you cannot imagine, when I was preparing this presentation, how many hours I spent thinking about this, trying to find the correct words of what I was going to tell you, because I was going to share my beliefs. And were my beliefs correct? And I'm asking you now, do you agree that we should question our beliefs and thoughts first before questioning others' beliefs and thoughts?
Yes, I do.
Thank you so much, Jaime. And what do the experts say?
Definitely. Otherwise, if you don't know yourself, you don't know what you yourself think about something, how are you going to question somebody else's opinions or ideas or sayings?
Exactly, exactly. And what Julio is saying is more or less what these authors are saying. Do we really have the right to question others, to doubt about what other people say, if we do not doubt ourselves before?
That's
And
why,
this,
sorry,
yes,
Beatriz, maybe that has to do with what I mentioned before, genuine curiosity. If you want to learn, if you want to know, if you want to understand something and your curiosity is genuine, welcome, I would say. I want to learn from Julio, I want to learn from you, so then I ask, but with my genuine curiosity, not because I want to know how much you know or you don't know, or if you are lying to me.
or which can happen to us just to demonstrate that I know more a little bit, more
Yeah,
than you or more than any other people.
which is really awful.
Exactly. And that is related to what Berbelez and Berg say, and that doesn't make us free, because we are a slave of these unwanted and unguaranteed thoughts. And that's not freedom, because we are not honest with ourselves. And we are not honest at the moment of trying to know other people or considering other people's ideas and reflections. Yes?
Yeah.
And Paul and Elder, they are even a little bit more stricter. They say critical thinking, it has to be self-directed, self-disciplined, self-monitored, and self-corrective. Because we have to take from ourselves, we have to overcome our egocentrism and our sociocentrism. And that's what we need in a society, that it has to be opened and not only tolerant, but accepting, because that idea that, okay, I'm going to tolerate you, but I still think that you are the bad guy, you are wrong, it's not good. We have to accept the others, but to be able to accept others, we have to be sure of what we believe. And that is also connected to recognize that sometimes we are a little bit selfish. And sometimes we react and we speak based on our emotions, and not based on our real points of view that have been well examined. And that's a kind way of lying to ourselves. He calls it self-deception, but we are lying to ourselves. And if we lie to ourselves, we are lying others. Now, to ask yourself means to ask all of these questions that you have here. And it seems a lot, but we can start with a small practice, with a small exercise that I would like to try to do with you right now. I'm a fan of American football. I don't know if you recognize the logo on the left. It's from the National Football League. And there are 32 teams right now trying to reach the Super Bowl next year. And I'm a fan of the New England Patriots. And I was analyzing the other day myself, why am I a fan of the New England Patriots? And I found out that it was because the quarterback, Tom Brady, is really handsome. I personally think he's one of the handsomest men in the world. But now that he's not playing from the New England Patriots, he's playing from the Tampa Bay, the Buccaneers. So I said, okay, there's something wrong here with me.
Yes,
So
and
it's not really that I'm a fan of the Patriots.
What is your critical thinking?
Exactly. Very good point. And I asked my dear friend Jaimito about soccer. So maybe you are not fan of a team in the NFL, but I'm totally sure that we know more about soccer. So he mentioned that Alianza Lima and Universitario, those are the two teams that may be rivals, and maybe majority of fans of soccer in Peru may be divided into one and another. So I don't know if this happens, Jaimito, you're going to tell me. Usually, you know, it's a rivalry that it will never find a common ground, right?
Right.
And it's not only in Peru. When I was in Salta several years ago, I saw these two little kids that they were having an argument about something and they were about to fight, you know, with fists and everything. It was becoming a little bit physical. The smaller one and the younger one, I think he did lots of critical thinking at that moment because he knew that if the thing became physical, he was going to lose. So he decided to abandon, you know, the place. And the last thing he said, "Cállate vos, que sabes, hincha River." Okay, probably he was a Boca Juniors fan, and he insulted, quotation marks, he insulted the other kid, calling him hincha River. And the father of the guy, of the little guy, he was so proud. Mi hijo es de Boca. This is very strong. And when you and I, Jaimito, when we met in Ecuador, in Guayaquil, the first day we arrived in Guayaquil, my daughter and I asked my daughter to accompany me. We wanted, you know, to walk around the city, and the city was a little bit deserted. And we found this place, and we ordered some chorizo with patacones. Delicious, delicious, delicious. But something was going on. So I asked, why is the city kind of deserted? And they said, el partido, the game. Exactly. So when there is this classic, the cities get deserted. People are paying attention. In my country, there is no difference. There are two important teams that precisely they come from my city. One is the strongest. The colors are yellow and black, and the other team. The late president, Dr. Victor Paz Estensoro, he used to say that a Bolivarista will never become a strongista will never become a Bolivarista, that it's easier for a person to change political parties, which is very frequent, to change spouses, to even change your religion, your belief. And I had a friend, she is so gorgeous. She's like a Barbie and she's so fashionable, perfect makeup, perfect clothes all the time. She was asked if she would ever stop being a Bolivarista. She answered, I would prefer to change my sex. I would prefer to change gender. So everything can happen, but you are not going to stop being a fan. Now, my little exercise is, oh, sorry, did you notice that I am not a fan of Bolivar? Okay.
Yeah, we did.
I want you to do this small exercise. Why are you a fan of that soccer team? And if you are not a fan of a soccer team, maybe a basketball team, or maybe two tennis players, or maybe a rock band, or why you like one kind of music or another kind of music. But I chose soccer because it's nice to talk about soccer. I want to ask yourselves, why are you a fan of this team or the other? I did this exercise with a group of young people, and I told them, I want to know why you are Bolivarista, why you are a strongista, but I don't want you to tell me, oh, it's because Bolivar has won more championships or they have better, no. I don't want you to use the merits of the soccer players for your decision of being a fan. I want to know your personal reasons. Now, I'm an English teacher. I make a living by teaching English. I maintain a family by teaching English. Soccer players are workers from my perspective. They earn their money to maintain their families by kicking an innocent, totally lack of guilty ball. Yes, the ball is totally innocent, but they make money to maintain their families. They are workers. So don't tell me it's because they have the best players or something. I want to know what's your real reason. I want to know the who. I want to know the what, the where, the when, the why, the how, and the what if. What is keeping you being a fan of that soccer team or that basketball team or that tennis player? What is the real reason behind? I know that you are thinking about it. And after you realize that, this is your homework. I'm a teacher, I'm giving you homework. When you finish this, go and talk to a fan of the rival. Ask them why they are fans. Tell them why you are fans. But tell them exactly the same thing I have told you. Don't tell me that they have more championships. Tell me your real reasons. And when you have this conversation, be open-minded. Listen to them actively. Keep in mind that you don't want them to convince them to become part of your team. They are not going to see the light. It's not going to happen. The idea is to talk with them and to understand. First, you are going to question your reasons. And once you are completely sure of your reasons, then you are going to talk to the other people. And then somebody is going to say, Beatriz, you are asking us to talk to the enemy. Horror, no. Zachary Wood, he gave this interesting TED talk, and he said, he as an African American that has been discriminated and even abused just for being a Black person, he encourages people to talk to others that have different ideas than ours. And he had promoted this conversation between African American communities and people that are part of the Ku Klux Klan, the KKK. And he said that when you talk to people that have totally different ideas from yours, it's possible to find common ground. And it is possible for you to build empathy, to understand the other person, to really know what is inside. And it makes you confront these different ideas, but also questioning yourself and questioning the other, not judging. And in his conclusion, he says that makes us able to understand humanity much better. How is this connected to education? I am teaching applied linguistics at UMSA, at Mayor de San Andres University, and I'm telling my students, when you write your learning objectives, use Bloom's taxonomy, because we have to make our students be able to develop these low order and high order skills. Think about that. But that's not the only reason. The principal reason should be that our students need to be thinkers on a daily basis. And also because in this new century, they have to be able to, they have to have developed these skills: communication, collaboration, creativity, and critical thinking. So the idea is that we make them more employable. So it's going to be easier for them to get a job, the job that maybe they are dreaming about. This cannot be done in the classroom if we as teachers are not critical thinkers. It's not easy to ask questions all the time. It's not easy to respond to those questions. Jaime mentioned a moment ago this experience he had when he was in Costa Rica, and he was motivated to ask genuine questions. When I was in this course to become a teacher trainer, the instructor used to ask us questions all the time. So after observing one of our classes, we had, to meet with him, and he asked us one question after the other, and we had to analyze how our classes had gone and what went well and why, and what didn't go that well and why not. So we were in this constant process of asking questions and responding to them and making decisions based on that. And sometimes it can be so overwhelming that there was this person, the trainer had observed his class, and he didn't feel really good about the class. That when he had the meeting with the instructor, he just said, okay, please don't ask me any more questions. Just tell me what I did wrong and let's finish this. It requires discipline. It requires commitment, and it requires motivation, and it requires that you say, yes, I want to know that whatever I think, whatever I feel, it has a good reason. And if you are questioning yourself all the time, then it is possible for you to control your emotions. I watched a TED Talk. I'm sorry, I don't remember the name right now. But the presenter in this TED Talk said, oh, it's good to be angry. It's positive and it's healthy to be angry. And I was like, what? And what makes being a negative feeling positive and healthy? What you do with it. So if you're angry because there are injustices, because we have right now in Bolivia, there are so many forest and the Chiquitania and the Amazonia, they are on fire again. And I'm so angry about it. Okay, let's do something with that. If you cannot go personally and do something, donate, help people that they want to go and do something personally. Write a letter. Talk to the mayor in your city, demand from the government to do something positive with that. And you cannot do that if you cannot control your emotions, because if you cannot control your emotions, it means that you have not asked yourself why you are reacting that way and why you are thinking that way and why you believe the thing that you are believing. So I'm about to finish, and I'm sharing here the references that I have used for this presentation. And I would like to finish before we go to answer questions and maybe listen to your comments, because I would really like to know what you think. If you are a critical thinking, you are free. That's what I think. If you are a critical thinker, it means that you are a free person. And as a free person, you can exercise your rights. So I'm going to ask you to think about it. If you are a critical thinker and you are free, is it possible?
Yes.
Does it require commitment? Not only every day, only for important things. Everybody should be a critical thinker. Do you want to be a critical thinker every day? What do you think of these ideas? Thank you so much. And maybe it would be great if we can, talk about your comments. Maybe you have questions.
Yes, Beatriz, we have time for that.
So,
could you please stop? Thank you so much. Number one, a big virtual applause. Thank you so much, Beatriz. As usual, let me say something before the other people start talking. I was talking to Mauricio from Colombia after his presentation 2 Sundays ago. And he said that he was really excited, motivated, fascinated, and all those adjectives about all the presentations, because we are so lucky. We are so lucky and blessed to have so many professional people talking about so many different topics as this one. As the one before, it was Lenka, as I said, a hurricane, a tornado of ideas about using technology. And now I was thinking about the way I think, the way I ask my questions, and I was questioning myself. And I said, do I sometimes ask genuine questions, Am I genuinely curious about what I ask? Maybe sometimes I make a mistake and I ask something that I shouldn't ask, or maybe I can hurt somebody's feelings. So critical thinking, because of the name, critical, what does it suggest? Critical.
And I would like to give a personal insight on your question, Jaime. I think it's a nice discussion. When you are critical, you don't want to really focus on what's going on wrong, but you want to make amendments. You want to improve, right? And we want to be better people. I don't know you, but I would like to be a better person every time. And I do something with my students and I ask them, tell me, how you liked our lesson? How you liked our module? There was something that you didn't like and you think we should improve? And students tell you, they are brave enough and they tell you, I remember this thing. I was teaching this learning objectives thing and I explained, I gave all the theory and I gave this thing and I gave that. I was very proud of myself until one of my students said, I think it would be a good idea if you gave us some examples. And I was like, what? I had forgotten to provide examples. What parameter my students had to do their job. And of course, after that, I was Beatriz Bolivarista, Beatriz Bolivarista, Beatriz Bolivarista. Because when I do good things, I'm a strongista. But this student, she was being critical. And she was asking for something that was really genuine and necessary. And she doesn't, or she didn't, or he didn't want me to feel bad or made me feel that I was a bad professor or anything. It was genuine, it was honest, and it gave me, ground for improvement. So now the very first thing I said, how I can prepare my examples for them, because they need examples. Mm-hmm. So we want to be better. And then the next step was, what happened to me that I forgot something important as giving examples. Yeah, well, maybe I needed more coffee that day when I was preparing my lesson. I don't know. But when you are critical, you are not going to stay all the time focused on the bad thing. You are going to use that bad thing to be better. And thank you to my students. Well, now I'm a little bit better because they told me. And if I were not a good critical thinker, probably I wouldn't like it. And if they were not critical thinkers, probably they wouldn't have spoken up for themselves.
Okay, Beatriz, we have like about 10 minutes, but let me introduce a new friend from Alejandria, Egypt, Mohammed.
Oh, wow, that's so amazing.
Yeah, he was asking in Facebook for the link to contact us, and we invited him. Hello, Mohammed. Are you there?
I think I can see the name.
Yeah, it's Mohammed Waban. Hello.
Yes, sir. I'm with you. Yes, sir. I listen to you.
Could you could you switch on your camera so we can meet you, my dear Mohammed?
Oh, I can't for now.
Okay, don't worry. If you would like to say something,
you can listen to me. I really very, very admired the way in which the presenter presented this session. I think it's very fruitful and very, very beneficial topic. The critical thinking topic. I think it's the matter of life now. And I wrote a question. Just a question. Do you think that we all think critically all the time?
okay.
You and me. Do you think that we all? I see your smile, and I expect your answer now. Do you think that we all think all the time?
That would be the ideal thing, but I have to be honest. I mean, we don't do it all the time. Sometimes we just let our emotions, get over, And it has happened to me so many times. But the ideal thing is that we do. Of course, we have to be honest. I mean, at the moment of brushing my teeth, I'm not going to make a whole thing to analyze the situation, right? And I was going to say at the moment of washing my hands. However, I have to admit, but with the COVID-19, it became a critical thinking moment. Like you had to, make this man, I have to wash my hands for 20 seconds and I have to do it frequently. And there were so many reasons backing it up. Now, after all this time, yes, that it's become automatically, but the ideal is that we have to think all the time, critically all the time. And we do it normally. And that leads to the first thing that I presented today. Should we bring the real world into our classroom? Should we talk about femicides? Should we talk about injustices? Should we talk about poverty? Should we talk about, even if we don't like it, politics? Right now, I have younger people that are my students and they have to go to vote. And they have to make a decision. Should I go and vote and risk my health? What should I do to protect myself? Should I be part of this important part of history, choosing a new government? Why aren't we going to talk about those things in our class? But before we do, let's be critical thinkers and let's train our students to be critical thinkers. We are not going to tell them what to think, but we are going to teach them the process of becoming a critical thinker. And we can find ways to talk about these difficult topics. That reminds me, our good colleague, Elizabeth Ortiz from Ecuador. Elizabeth talked about emotions in the EFL classroom. I attended a webinar she gave about how to talk sustainable development goals and how to teach them in the classroom. And when you talk about SDGs, you are talking about precisely crime rate. You're talking about malnutrition. You're talking about poverty. And you're teaching your students to see around and to notice what is going on and what they can do to improve the situation and to make a commitment. A personal anecdote. I get the best ideas for my classes when I'm in the shower. And somebody said, but Beatriz, that's not really fair, because how long you spend in the shower? And I was like, oops, sometimes even 1 hour. And the water was running, 40 minutes, and the water was running. And where was my commitment to the environment, but Beatriz? So I made a critical change in my life, and now I have a bucket. So I fill my bucket with water and I just shower with tutuma or with jarrito, or now I have I'm reusing a plastic container. So I spend the hour in the shower, but I'm not, wasting water, because I'm with my jarrito doing this.
Very good.
And I get my ideas again. Yes, and I can spend 1 hour there, no problem. I'm not wasting water. And I learned that after attending a seminar in which teachers shared the projects that their classmates presented on how to do something with the SDGs. And it became very, very handy a couple of years ago when my city had problems with water, and for almost 6 months, we didn't have current water in our faucets. So, knowing how to shower with a jarrito and the tutuma, very handy. I didn't suffer because I used to do that. And I'm still doing it. Try, believe it or not, you are going to save lots of water and you are doing something for the environment.
Thank you, Beatriz. Besides Mohammed, there was also, we have another guest, Jocelyn Tarquino. She was in Facebook asking, please let me in. And we let her in. And here she is. Hello, Jocelyn.
Please, I'd like to say something, but I'd like the listeners to be wide-minded, please. In my point of view, I think that there is a big difference between thinking and critical thinking. There are a lot of things in our life. You can think, just think about it, but others, you must think about them critically.
Exactly.
Like what? If I'd like to wash my hand, this is thinking or critical thinking. If I'd like to watch a TV, is it thinking or critical thinking? And now, if I'd like to answer a difficult problem, is it thinking or critical thinking? So, in my point of view, there is a big difference between just to think and think critically. This is my point of view.
Yes.
Okay?
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay. And
Thank you, Mohammed. And
Yes.
please, Jocelyn, very quickly, we have only a few minutes. Jocelyn?
Yes, thank you for letting me in the Zoom session. I was very admired of the topic. I really like it, especially the exercise of the soccer team. I think it was very simple, but deep at the same time. So sometimes we don't make questions about what we like about our decision, and I think it's important to do. And I really loved your sense of humor. I think it was very, very great, and we were here, we were there. It was very admired. I really like it.
Thank you, Jocelyn. Where do you live in Bolivia?
La Paz.
Okay, thank you. And by the way, talking about football, sorry, Ruben, I didn't mention boys. And sorry, Julio Valladares, that I didn't mention Sporting Cristal, because Beatriz called me yesterday and says, Jaimito, what are the most famous and important football teams in Peru? And I say, Alianza, of course, Alianza and Universitario. But sorry about not mentioning Sport Boys.
Don't worry,
and
don't worry.
Sporting
I've been
Cristal.
thinking critically about this.
Very
Jaime.
good, very good. Very good,
Exactly.
Julio. And think about why you like Sporting Cristal. Think.
It's because my dad showed me that team, and I think most kids start at a very early age with that hinchaje, with that fanatism somehow, because of their parents.
Yes, exactly. But my point is here, once you become an adult, why do you continue being a fan? And I have this very good friend of mine that she's a strongista as I am, and then she's a real fan. She's the one that goes every Sunday, well, not now, but used to go every Sunday to the games, especially to the Clásico. And then she insulted the referee, and she became, with a sore throat after each game. And I told her, why? Why do you do that? Why do you go every Sunday to see the Clásicos and the game and everything? And this was her reason. First, because I'm a strongista, so I have the opportunity to wear my t-shirt, but also because I can take everything that I have, accumulated over the week. So I tell horrible things to the Bolivaristas, and I insult the referee. I mention their mothers and the mother of their mothers, and then I'm so renewed that I can teach one more week. So ask yourself, what's your real reason? And she had a very good one. I respected her. She's a great teacher, amazing one. She taught me so many things.
Thank you, Beatriz. Anyone else, please? In Peru, in Germany, in Canada, in Ecuador, Colombia, anywhere?
And you can do that exercise with any soccer team that in the country you are in.
And the same with soap operas and TV programs.
Absolutely true.
and desserts in Colombia, Anna, and desserts and things like that. Irma, in Ecuador.
I just wanted to say thank you to Beatriz for the lovely topic. Very interested. It was nice to see you again, because I think the three of us met during that Congress here in Ecuador. So very nice. And I like especially two activities. The one that you work with Kahoot. I think those questions and assembling questions will help our students start thinking critically. And thank God for Bloom's taxonomy, because that helps us organize our classes. And as you say, you develop every single day the habit of starting thinking and then critical thinking. So that was great. Kahoot, I think it was a good tool for me. I'm thinking in applying it with my adults. So I don't want to take so much time. I'm sure more people want to say something. So thank you again, Beatriz. I really enjoyed this warming up. Thank you.
Thank you, Irma. Really appreciate it.
Anybody else, please, who hasn't spoken yet and would like to say something?
I think Raj wanted to say something.
Raj?
I thought Tito had his hand up. I just wanted to make sure that we saw that.
Okay, Judy?
I like to say something.
Tito, please.
Beatriz, thank you for this presentation. Great one. I'd just like to add something and place on the table perhaps something that you or the rest may comment about. Okay, as you said, critical thinking is more of a process that we can transfer into different areas of life. And according to neurosciences, we happen to use the same strategy in different issues of life. Now, when we are going through this process, while you were explaining, I was critically thinking that perhaps there are some things that distract the process. One could be tradition, another one could be emotional state or peer pressure. So sometimes, example, when you said, why do we vote for this candidate or why are we fan of this team? Perhaps it's because we do it as a tradition. In my case, example, my family were fan of Barcelona. And so because of that, I say I'm a Barcelonista, but I don't really go into this critical process of thinking about, okay, wait a minute, but they always lose. Well, sometimes they lose, sometimes they win. But yeah, so sometimes we do some things based on those distractors, which stop us from thinking critically and making a final decision of that. So is there another way that we get distracted in this process of critical thinking other than the ones that I mentioned, tradition, emotional state, and peer pressure?
And Tito, I really cannot respond to that because maybe we would go to a very long list. And I think we have to recognize our own distractors. But the thing is that if we are able to engage and commit ourselves on the process of questioning ourselves, and it is going to become natural for us. It's like we are going to raise a habit. I like this in Spanish, at least in my country, I've heard some people saying, hay que criar hábito. So we have to raise this habit of thinking, right? And not because things just happen because happen, we have to continue believing in what we are believing. Maybe I want to continue believe that the strongest is the best soccer team in all Bolivia, and nobody is going to change my mind from that, but I have to be sure why I believe that. So when I meet and I have this conversation with my brother, so I became a strongista because my mother and my father are strongistas, majority of my family is strongista, but we have this light blue sheep that because he's a rebel, he decided he was not going to follow the family tradition. But anyway, if I want to talk about this with my brother or with my baby sister, I have to have my ideas quite clear because they are family. And it's worse if it's a person, you know, that it's not part of the family because my brother is my brother. I cannot change him, right? True. So there is blood involved there. With a total stranger, how am I going to talk to him or her? And we're talking about soccer, but there are so many other things that we could talk in the classroom. And we can say things that we cannot ignore and that we can hurt other people. So it has to be something that we are involved in, and we have to recognize our own distractors and deal with them at our own pace and level.
Okay, thank you, Tito. Thank you, Beatriz. Thank you, Judy, Ruben, Roxy, Glenda, Gloria, Juan, Irma, Emily, Gabriela, Tito, Ana, Raj, Olenka, Cristi, Marisa, Daniela, Jocelyn, Mauricio, Ana Maria, Isabel, and Niel Arevalo. See you next Sunday. We will have our guest speaker, Skip Gold, and be with us next Sunday, okay? Thank you so much.
Thank you all. May God bless you.
Have a very nice week. And
Thank you, Beatriz.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.